everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Tech Unlocked podcast, the podcast where we unlock the latest tech news, leaks, and rumors, and at the same time having a couple of guests on to learn more about them and hear some of their opinions on the latest news as well. I'm one of your hosts, Benji from BenObi Tech, and I'm joined as always by Taylor from TA Tech, who's my co-host. And today we have another guest, another special guest. We have Travis MCP. How are you doing, guys?
Doing awesome, man. Doing awesome.
Doing great. Doing great.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Travis, for making the time to hop on one of our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely a creator that we love watching, and we enjoy hearing your opinions about various different things in the world of tech. And hopefully you can share some more insights on some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Awesome. So, first, we're just going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going to be happening in this episode. So we are going to be talking about iPad Pros. We're going to be talking about ProMotion possibly coming to the iPhone 14 or not. There's been some conflicting rumors over that. And also the fact that Apple scrapped the idea of portable HomePods. And we also have another thing about iPad Air. So we're going to talk a little bit about those first. And then we're going to talk a little bit with Travis about some of the stuff that he has learned as a YouTube creator, and also some opinions he has about different things that are going to happen in tech in the next few years. So starting off with the first news story, we have new iPad Pros apparently will be getting MagSafe support, which is exciting, but also kind of weird in the way it's going to be implemented. So what are your guys' thoughts on this? You probably heard of the rumor.
Yeah, I think looking at what Apple's been doing lately, it kind of makes sense. Over the last couple of years, they've been expanding MagSafe usage to more and more devices, and this is the next logical thing. I don't think MagSafe is going anywhere anytime real soon. It's a pretty good product, works super easy, which is probably the point that it gains the most value from people who are just kind of your quote average consumer. And I think it's a great step forward for another product line, which I love, which are the iPads.
Definitely, and I honestly love how Apple is really like moving into this this MagSafe world, and I think it's cool the way they're going to be implementing it. They're basically going to be making the Apple logo on the back bigger, so then they don't have to make the whole back out of glass, which then makes it less durable, more scratch resistant, that kind of stuff. But then there always is the question of like, what are they going to do with cases and stuff like that? Where I think what they will do is just like they've done with the iPhone, like the cases will have a built-in area where the MagSafe puck can attach. So that's probably what's going to happen. But Taylor, what are your thoughts? You've been a bit quiet about it.
Sorry,
Trying to sort out issues in the background.
Yeah. Let me tell you, man. Yeah, so I completely agree. I think that this is pretty cool. It's definitely something new that they're going to be doing with these iPads. But I definitely would love to see this because, honestly, myself included, I think that a lot more people are starting to use MagSafe with iPhones. So to see this coming to the iPad, I think is going to be really good. And it's going to allow people to just MagSafe everything. I think that wirelessly charging your devices is just becoming a trend nowadays. And I definitely think that it's going to be good. I'd love to see it. I know that it's technically come to the MacBooks, but I'd love to see if they would be able to make a big pad for you can just put it on top of the pad and that'll charge the MacBook. That'd be something that I'd like to see in the future. So we'll see. But I definitely think that this is cool, and I can't wait to see how it works with iPads.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be cool. And I'm interested to see if they're going to use the same MagSafe puck that they use for the iPhone, or if they're going to take like the approach they've been taking with
I was going to say that too,
MacBooks, and just create a completely different port entirely. But still, MagSafe, and of course this is a rumor, so things may change in the next couple of months. They may decide to scrap it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. So the next thing that we want to talk about is the new iPad Air specs. I actually just took a look at this a little while ago, and it really looks cool. I mean, it says here that Apple is planning to release a fifth generation iPad Air with similar features as the sixth generation iPad Mini, including A15 Bionic chip, 12 megapixel ultra wide front camera with center stage, 5G, and a quad LED True Tone flash. And this is all, of course, according to Mako Takara. So, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I think obviously the Air is in desperate need of an upgrade at this point, even though
Yeah.
it was kind of recently changed over. Once the Mini came out with better specs and things like center stage and A15, it was immediately obvious that we would see a new Air. And yeah, I mean, essentially, it is becoming an Air that is not, or sorry, it's becoming a Mini that is not a Mini. It's an Air. So they're just
Right.
taking the Mini and blowing it up. And that's essentially what this is. Probably nothing more than that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's basically not really gonna be anything crazy. Just basically the same as the last iPad Air, but with all the iPad Mini upgrades. And it's gonna be a good iPad that people can buy if they don't want to buy the Pro or they don't want to buy the budget iPad.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, yeah, these specs we kind of expected. It's nothing new. Um, but definitely needs to change.
Yeah,
Next up, we
definitely.
have rumors of ProMotion coming to the iPhone 14 and 14 Max. We received a rumor, I think it was like earlier last week or something, and then a couple days later, another rumor came out saying no, it's not gonna have 120 hertz. And honestly, when I first saw the rumor that they were gonna expand 120 hertz ProMotion to the standard iPhone 14 lineup, that didn't really sound right because like it's ProMotion, it's meant to be for the pros.
Right.
Personally, I think what would make more sense is if they did something like they did with the Pixel, and they have like the cheaper version has 90 hertz instead of 120 hertz or 60 hertz, which is better than 60 hertz, but it's not as good as 120 hertz. But I don't know. That's just what I thought when I first heard of this. What are you guys' thoughts on all of these?
Travis, man,
Yeah,
you
so
got
I
that.
mean, it depends on. I think a lot of this has to do with shortages in LTPO panels as much
Yeah.
as anything. At some point, I think the base level iPhones will have 120 hertz because if you look and while Apple doesn't really look at Android to kind of figure out what they need to do, the reality is you can get a budget level phone with like at least 90 hertz, if not 120 nowadays, on pretty inexpensive Android phones. And so at
Hmm.
some point, your base level iPhone will have that. Now, will it be this year? Probably not, but I don't think it's necessarily because they're trying to differentiate the two. I think it's as much as anything about the fact that it's kind of not feasible in the moment. Within a year or two, it will be
Hmm.
financially and from a supply perspective. So I think, maybe in the iPhone 15, certainly by the iPhone 16, pretty much all of them should have 120 hertz variable refresh. We're just 1 year off from that, and really this year will probably be more about the revised look of the 14 series, more so
Yep.
than anything else. So they actually can buy themselves time as far as getting up to 120 hertz because the design look itself looking so different is such a big thing for iPhone users that they don't have to have a whole bunch of other specs or changes or anything. They literally can wait a year out because the big talk is going to be about the design and the look. It's not going to be about 120 hertz. One of the reasons that it was 120
Right.
hertz a
Right.
big deal this year was because the look was basically the same. So there wasn't that to talk about. It's very easy to put some of these things off to the future if you make the phone look different, because then that's the talking point. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty sure we're not that far away from base level having 120.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Because I mean, yeah, we're seeing all of the other Android phones as well having 120 hertz already. And as you said, Apple sometimes they do the thing where they save features for the next iPhone because this next one's going to be exciting, but then they need to build up hype and find features for the next one. So yeah, that's really cool. But Taylor, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I completely agree with both of you guys.
Awesome.
So, all right. So the next thing that we're going to be talking about is HomePods, and apparently Apple was working on some kind of portable HomePod, and this is something that I even when we heard about the HomePod Mini, I kind of thought and wished that it would be a wireless HomePod Mini. That you could be able to take on the go and plug it back in whenever you wanted. Apparently, now it's not like that, but apparently they were working on something like that. What are you guys' thoughts?
I mean, personally, I would love to see like a portable HomePod,
Yeah,
and it's kind of sad to see how they've canceled it. Because I mean, the HomePod, like the original HomePod, was kind of a flop. The HomePod Mini's a lot better, and a lot of people love HomePod Minis.
yeah,
And so having one that's portable that you can charge and take on the go would be cool. And it's kind of strange how we just got out of the blue a rumor that's like, oh, Apple was working on it, but then they're not working on it anymore. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Travis, what do you think? Do you think Apple should like bring back the idea or not?
Yeah, I think it depends on what the actual sales numbers for the Mini are, and if they're good, and you have an installed base of it, and it kind of proves the point that the problem with the HomePod was the pricing more than anything else. If that's the case, then sure, having a mobile version of it is not a bad idea. You can always show people. I also think they're not that much of a hurry anyway, because with lockdown starting to kind of peek their head up everywhere around the world, it's not as much of a hurry to say, hey, you can go outside and take your speaker. A lot of people are not doing that anyway, so it's
yeah,
buying them more time. So if they decide not to release something like that this year, I think it's fine. If they aim for next year and hope things are better, then the technology will be better. Maybe they get better battery life. Maybe they get a better something. I don't know, if they have a new version. So Renee Ritchie was talking about maybe a new version of either connector or
yeah.
like even AirDrop. Like AirDrop is great, but like if there was a new version of AirDrop or AirPlay,
Definitely.
like AirPlay for lossless audio, like you give yourself a year so that can be part of one of those things, because lossless audio right now on the Apple side is in a weird place where they have the
Mhm.
support for Apple Music, but they don't have a wireless way of getting it to any of their wireless headphones, right? So they need to overcome that. And if they do that with a new AirPlay, like AirPlay 2.0, 3.0, whatever they want to call it, and then this thing comes out after that and says, here's another way to play lossless audio, boom, you're almost better off waiting a year.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I think the idea is great, and I think if they did bring the lossless audio, it would definitely be a great selling point, and hopefully would also boost sales with the HomePod Mini, which is cool. So that I guess is kind of, I think, all the news we had to cover. So
Yep.
now, Travis, we're gonna, this part of the show is kind of a little bit more relaxed. It's less official, I guess. And we're just gonna get to know you a little bit more, get to know a little bit more about what kind of creator you are, I guess, in a way, and how you started out and things. So the first question we wanted to ask you is when did you start YouTube, and why did you start?
Yeah, so 2018, in January 2018, I started tech YouTube. I had done little YouTubey things previously to that, but that's when I started the current channel the way it is now. And previous to that, I had a podcast many years ago that was pretty successful in it for its time. Took off a couple of years, and then came back around 2018, wanting to kind of do something that was more online, kind of entertainment wise. And I was already buying a lot of tech. I've always been interested in tech, so I figured, might as well start with that. Let's see where it goes. Um, and that's kind of been it ever since. Is just trying to find my way through every day as you kind of go through, trying to find more and exciting ways to cover things that you end up being passionate about. And I'm always trying to figure out the next cool way to do that.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Um, what gear did you start out with?
What do you mean? Like what I shoot with, or what do you mean?
Yeah. What like what did you shoot with
Yeah,
when you first started the channel?
yeah, my Galaxy Note 9, a $20 lav,
Oh wow.
and I think I had bought. I don't know if I had it right at the beginning. I can't remember, but I ended up buying the like Amazon, well, like an Amazon Basics lighting kit, which might have been like
Mm-hmm.
$40 or $50 or something like that. So not
Oh
very
wow.
much because I wasn't sure like what was going to happen. Obviously, the idea was, hopefully someday it'll do something and it'll pay for itself or whatever. But um,
Right.
I wanted to look and sound at least pretty good while I was doing that. And if it turned out that either I got bored or I couldn't succeed at it or whatever, then I wasn't out a lot of money. So yeah.
Mm. What are you using now, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So for live streaming, I use the ZV-1 and then the Rodecaster Pro and the Procaster. And then for the videos, I use a Canon 90D and just recently started using the same Rodecaster Procaster for the audio portion.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So you get the
What?
crispy audio in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a new thing.
yeah. I see people like, I think this mic is pretty good, but then I have seen people with more expensive mics, and it's just like, man, I gotta get that one of these days. Seriously.
One step at a
What?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What, Travis? What do you recommend for upcoming creators as far as gear and stuff?
I mean, at this point, phones are better than when I was doing it. Half of my B-roll is shot with my iPhone. And as a matter of fact, I've shot entire portions of videos recently with my iPhone.
Hmm.
So I'll give you two. So the AirTag video I did like a year ago, the vast majority of that was shot on my iPhone. That has 250,000 views on it. So it's not like I
Wow.
stopped anything. My will you switch to iPhone video? The vast majority of that was shot on my iPhone. The the some sponsored videos I've shot with iPhone. So the video content that can come out of an iPhone now, like I was just looking back at some footage that I shot on an iPhone just the other day,
Mhm.
uh, and I was blown away. I'm like, it looks so good. And if you can tackle the audio portion, which when I'm out and about I don't worry too much about it, but if you were to just take your phone and then just get like a nice little lav or something and plug it in, lightning adapter or whatever, you
Yeah,
have an incredible setup that's really all you need is like a little light and then you're good to go.
yeah. Because I hear a lot of people saying that like uh, lighting and especially audio is very important, and that's something that I've learned to try to upscale in my videos as well.
Hmm. Yeah, audio
Uh,
very important.
And also, Travis, what do you use to edit your videos? Do you still use Lumafusion?
Yep, still edit on my iPad. I will a lot of times combine the audio, which is captured on the Rodecaster, put it on the iMac, and combine that with the video, and then put it on the iPad, and then go in the kitchen or living room and just kind of edit, at my leisure. Just works a little bit easier for me, and I'm super efficient with Luma. But it's really nice because it's now all being captured by something that I can airdrop something to. Like I have a little bit of B-roll on an iPhone, I'll airdrop it in, and same thing with the iPad, airdrop it over, and then when I'm done, I airdrop it to the Mac, and then upload it from the Mac, and just that sort of thing.
That's cool. So just
Um,
like
Yeah,
the whole Apple workflow, I guess.
yeah,
It's
it's been
cool.
an interesting thing.
that Apple ecosystem, man.
It gets you. It gets
Putting Yeah, exactly, and it's at least it's being put into good use.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I figured if I had access to it, I might as well take advantage of it. And it's been fun.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think it's really cool how like not just you, but there's other creators out there that are still editing on an iPad,
Mhm.
which is really awesome. Like I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was, um, I think you were Travis, you were at around like under 10K or something, and I heard you were editing on iPad and stuff like that, and even some other people, and it's great to see that you're still doing it as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
the only reason I even started editing on an iPad was Jonathan Morrison. He told me to try it, and I was like, Why would I do
mhm.
that? Doesn't sound like anything I would want to do." And when I was out there, he really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and that was one of those things. And after I did it, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm sold on this. I didn't think it would be a thing, but yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, because I mean, I would love to edit on an iPad because like it's so easy to just carry your iPad around. But I'm someone who likes to have their keyboard and
Mhm.
trackpad and everything to move everything around the timeline.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find it
I mean,
simpler.
I use my Magic Keyboard for some stuff. I mean, for yeah,
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course. That's cool though.
Yeah.
And what is your creative process like? Like how would you plan a video and then go ahead and shoot it all the like basically from the idea to the upload? What does that process look like to you, for you?
Uh, it depends. So I would say 90% of the videos are more either news related or opinion about news. So essentially, I might read or see something, and then just kind of real quick in my head think, okay, well, what's my angle? Sit down, shoot and edit, which doesn't take that long. But then there's things like, the like the AirTags video or the challenging an or an Android user to try an iPhone. That's a lot more complicated, and I have to try to work that out in my head beforehand. I'm in the middle of shooting a video right now. Actually, it'll probably be done shooting on Thursday, but I've been working on it since December, and it won't be out until February. And that's really rare for me. It doesn't usually take that long to do something, but strategically and the way that I needed it to work, it just took that long. But I was thinking about it way before that. I'm like, okay, well, what's the what's the next cool thing to do? And then I've got some videos I got to shoot next week. I don't even like right now. I'm telling you, these are I have a really great potential for some incredible videos next week, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. But I've set aside time on Thursday to brainstorm. Like I literally put in my calendar this hour or whatever. I'm just going to brainstorm. I'm going to sit down, figure it out, think about what are the most interesting ways to take advantage of these opportunities, and then see what happens.
That's super cool. And do you script your videos or do you just do them all like?
Yeah, no scripting. Sometimes I'll have an outline, different like bullet points I want to hit, but frequently none of it. Like I've never scripted anything, and I don't see myself ever doing that. But outlines are good. Bullet points are really good, especially when it's kind of an in-depth or if there's multi layers to the subject. I want to make sure I hit it because a lot of the times, what I'm thinking when I'm doing the bullet points is, what is someone who's watching this video going to think or question? Like, what's their question going to be, or what are they going to say? So I need to make sure I, address as many of those I can think of as possible. And inevitably, you miss one, you forget one. You're like, I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah, because that's something that I've been trying to figure out lately. Because I've started to script my videos a little bit more, and I find that takes so much time. Just like sit down and think about what you're gonna say, and then write it down, and then go and record, and then edit. But most of the time, I do bullet points as well, just so I can kind of still know what I'm talking about or remember different things that I've
Mhm.
already said and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, so that's cool. So yeah, that's awesome. And Taylor, do you wanna ask about the next thing?
Yeah. So, what inspires you and keeps you motivated to do your videos?
I think lately it's been trying to figure out what's the next cool way of doing something no one else is doing. Um, what's the way of looking at a something that everyone uses every day tech wise, and either looking at it in a way that no one's doing or trying to use it in a way that no one's doing, or and that's, I want them to be interested. I want it to be the only place to go to see this type of video, these type of things
Mhm.
I'm doing, and no one else. I don't want there to be any other type of video like that, short of like some of the things that, like, if you cover a subject that's news, of course everyone's going to have that, but the things that are keeping me interested and keeping me kind of inspired are these weird things where I'm just trying to do something that I've, like, trying to repair an iPhone for the first time ever and doing it on camera. I thought that was fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. It was terrible at the end. I mean, it was terrible. There was extra pieces, but there shouldn't have been. But that was part of the fun. It was like, I'm going to try to do this thing. I have no idea what's going to happen, but let's watch together. Let's have fun with it. And I like doing that. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's find out. There's something to me that's so intriguing about that I want to do more of that type of content. So we'll see.
That's awesome, man.
That's cool. And this is a question that I've had for I think a very long time. I've never asked you. But
Okay.
what does MCP mean?
So it doesn't mean anything. It's actually I just thought it'd be easier than saying McPherson, which is my last name. So it used to be the way I used to spell it was M, and it was lowercase c and p because that's actually how you would spell it. But I realized people were saying McP, and I'm like, that's not actually what I want people to say. I don't want people to pronounce it that way. It's easier to just remember MCP, right? It just kind of flows, right? So instead of doing, Travis McPherson or something, how do you spell it again? It's EA. I don't want you don't want to deal with that. I just want it to be super easy, hard to forget, and something that's just kind of catchy. So that just made sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, if Apple were to enter a new product category, what would you like to see?
Well, I mean, I think they're going to, but I really want to see what what their spin will be on VR, as I'm really becoming kind of captivated by my Oculus, which was something.
Dude, that video was so awesome. I
Yeah,
gotta tell you, man.
it wasn't even on my radar last year. Then out of nowhere, I'm like, oh my god, I'm kind of obsessed with this thing.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what Apple would do, because I think whenever Apple does something, it legitimizes whatever they've done. Wireless charging, 120 hertz, like all these things. It kind of legitimizes and makes it something that more people accept. And it would be really interesting to see what would happen the minute they got into VR, because you're bringing in a lot more people that aren't necessarily paying attention to VR because they're just fans of Apple.
Yeah.
And as soon as Apple does something, it's like, oh, well, this must be interesting. Let me go check it out. And right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just the way of the world. So what would Apple do? Like, I mean, I suspect, of course, that their headset would be unfortunately expensive. Which is too bad, because I think the reason that the Oculus Quest 2 works so well is because it's not that expensive for what you get out of it. But I think the polish would be amazing. I think the software would be pretty incredible once it's kind of fine-tuned.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing whenever it does happen, because we've also been hearing that they're delaying the whole AR VR headset thing until next year. But it's gonna be interesting how even like they said they're not gonna be like Apple's headset won't be part of the metaverse. It's gonna be kind of its own thing. It's just gonna be interesting to see how like apps work on it and everything. I think that would definitely be a product category that Apple definitely would enter. But if you were to, I guess, if you were to choose any product category that Apple could enter into apart from AR or VR, which one would you like to see them enter?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think the one that's always been touted is cars. I don't know if that would particularly excite me. And I think gaming has been a thing that they could have jumped into long ago, but have just kind of decided to not do that in a real serious way, other than things like our Apple Arcade, which is a more casual type of endeavor. I would like to see what would happen if they would come out with separate GPUs, because what they're doing with the M1 and M2 and stuff is pretty incredible. And I would only imagine that if they came out with a straight up gaming GPU, that NVIDIA would be, they'd have to be thinking
They'd be
about.
scared.
Yeah, I would be if Apple was like, you know what, we're going to make some gaming GPUs, which they're not going to do, because of course those GPUs would, generally speaking, be more useful for Windows than it would be Apple. But if they did, that would be interesting. That would be kind of compelling.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't really thought about that. Them entering into the whole GPU space. That's pretty cool. And where do you see like technology in the next 10 years? Where do you see kind of, are we gonna have phones, that kind of stuff?
I feel like whatever the next thing is for as far as phones go, is definitely not what we're doing right now. It's not a slab. It's probably not even foldable. It's probably something formless. I've always thought that, like, maybe not a hologram specifically, but something that is not what we see today. It's not what we are working with today. Like, if you look back 10 years from where we are now, you probably have to go back even further, because technology is continuing to grow fast. But I mean, we've actually done quite a bit even 10 years ago. But if you look back 10 years, what phone was out 10 years ago? What was that, like the iPhone? Was it 3 or no? Wait, it was the 4. It's like the 4 or 4S.
4, yeah.
Yeah. So think about that. The 4 and 4S came out right around 10 years ago, and Siri had just kind of started. You have these like 4.5-inch screens. 4G just kind of started. There was, we thought, oh, this is kind of amazing. The video quality is great. Now, if you take one of those, and as I did recently with the 4S, and you look at it now, it seems so primitive. I mean, back then,
Mhm.
best of my knowledge, we were still paying for like individual texts. And of course, you really couldn't make long distance calls without paying some type of long distance. Like there was all these weird things that were kind of separated from now. There's like you can make video calls easily. FaceTime was nowhere near where it is now. I don't even remember. Did it even exist when the 4S came out? It
Yeah,
might
it did, but it wasn't
Yeah, it
great
did.
though.
yeah, it's completely different now. Like it's a different beast. The ecosystem is more incredible than it's ever been. So to try to extrapolate what that would be like in 10 years, I can't even wrap my head around it because I have no idea. Like what could it possibly be? Hopefully, we'll see things that are just as much adjusting to our current lifestyle, which is very much remote, as anything. And we should be thankful that technology was where it was when this pandemic happened because we're
Yeah.
able to stay connected, and there's a lot of things that functioned because of the internet. And if the internet wasn't where it is
Right.
now, oh my gosh, people will be going so crazy.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
completely agree.
back then we didn't even have like things like AirPods, AirDrop. Not TikTok didn't even exist, and that's
Yeah.
like becoming a very big thing now, which is pretty cool. So honestly, the next 10 years I think are going to be bigger than the last 10
Oh,
years.
easy.
Definitely. Because everything, like, the technology is just growing exponentially, and there's really no way of telling what the next 10 years will be like, because there could always be like an idea that comes out next year and it then becomes the next big thing. So it's really going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think Apple could learn from Android
Hmm.
in 2022 and and beyond?
I think this is kind of weird because there probably are some really good lessons that Apple could learn from Android, but I don't know that they would take very many of them because what Apple's doing is just succeeding so well that you'd almost not want to mess with the formula too much. But because
Mm,
the easy thing is to say something like, well, give more customization. But the
right.
reality is, you know, do you really need as much customization as you have on an Android phone? Some people really enjoy it, but do you need it?
Yep.
And is it worth spending the amount of dev time and effort it would be to make your home screen so that you don't have to have all the icons on there? Is it worth that time, or is it worth using that same amount of dev time to make the next great AirDrop or the next great AirPlay or something like that? You know what I mean? Like you could use it for one thing or the other, and one I think pushes the company further forward. Um,
Def-
and the things that make Android awesome are not necessarily the things that would make iOS any more awesome. So, a matter of fact, some of them could do the exact opposite, like side loading and stuff. I mean, that's a blessing and a curse on the Android side of things.
yeah. Yeah.
So are having all these different skins and all these different manufacturers. Like, it would be really interesting. I would love to see, which will never happen. Apple say, okay, you know what? As long as you use iOS, we'll let any manufacturer make an iPhone. I would love to see a Samsung version of an iPhone. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see like what could Oppo make? What it'd be cool as long as they used iOS, make that thing.
De-
And
definitely.
I think it would be really interesting, but they'll never do it. So that's like the only thing that would be, because the thing is, it's a little bit like you better, if you like iPhones, that's great, but you're only getting the one, and you better like the way it looks because it's the only one you have. You have one option.
Yep.
So can you imagine though if Samsung had their Fold 3, except for it was an iPhone? Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy. I would love that.
Exactly.
I think
Uh,
probably a lot more people would be buying Android phones if they had iOS.
oh yeah, for sure, for
Boy.
sure.
Like there's so many phones that have so much cooler designs than just the thing we have now with iPhones. Not I'm not saying that iPhones are ugly or anything, but it would be cool to see like how different companies would also incorporate different iOS features. into their thing. That's cool. That I
Yeah.
didn't really think of that either. But yeah, Taylor, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Um, Actually, I just thought about something that I'm curious. What do you think of Apple entering the foldable flip phone
Yeah.
kind of thing?
I mean, it's something they could definitely dip their toe into. They'll have to see a value for it. They'll have to see a reason to do it. Um,
Yep.
a lot of times, and I say this a lot, is like Apple doesn't necessarily just do things to do things just cause, like, oh, we can do this, so let's just do it. It doesn't. They're a little bit more practical than that, and I
Yes.
feel
Yeah.
like it would be awesome to see a foldable, and we probably will at some point. I mean, we probably will. The thing is we may not, because a lot of the stuff that's happening now in Apple would not have happened if Tim Cook wasn't there, or if some of the leadership wasn't there, because they were doing some very un-Apple like things over the last 5 years. But
Right.
they're all ended up being really cool things. So depending on what the next leadership is, because I think didn't Tim Cook say he was leaving in a couple of years or something? Like, I think
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Apple Car is the last project he's gonna be working on, so he's probably gonna be leaving like 2024, 2025.
which isn't that far away. That's not far
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So in that particular case, like the next person who comes in might be sitting there with a bunch of ideas going, I can't get this through Tim Cook, but if I could get in control, or if even this other person gets control, I know my projects are going to pass through. Like, we don't know what Tim Cook is saying no to. There could be some
True.
incredible
True.
ideas he's saying no to. So,
True.
I mean, he was saying no to a bunch of cool stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I even said this before. I think that, yeah, as far as designs go, not much would change if Jobs was still around.
Hmm.
That's just my opinion. I don't know about you, um, but from what I've heard from other people, I don't think things would change much.
Yeah. I mean, he was
Yeah, and
very, very opinionated.
I think going back to the folding phone thing as well. I think when Apple does something, they do it right. They do it in a different way,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's more of a refined product. Like I actually had the chance to try the Galaxy Z Fold and the Z Flip yesterday, and I was like, my expectations were, yeah, it's a cool concept. I wouldn't buy a folding phone simply because of the way it's being implemented on like the Galaxy phones. And I found like the just holding it and using the screen, like the screen being plastic, it didn't feel as good as my iPhone. And then you had the crease in the middle as well, which was very noticeable. I don't know if it was because it was it was on display and so it was being folded constantly. But I think when Apple does it, they'll do it when that kind of those little trade-offs are no longer there. Like when they can actually somehow make glass bendable. Don't exactly know how that's gonna be possible, or make it differently. So then it feels like a premium product. It feels like a functional product, and also like Apple isn't someone. They aren't a company who like really makes a lot of gimmicky things. At least that's what I think. There are some things that are, of course, a little bit gimmicky, like in iOS and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
when Apple does something, they're going to do something that's useful, that people will find useful as well. Like AirPods. Like at the beginning, people were like, "Oh, why would I want to have two separate earbuds, and they can fall out, I can lose them." But now everybody uses them, and things like that.
Dude, they're everywhere.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see if Apple does enter into the foldable smartphone world, and how they will enter it as well. Will they make like a phone similar to the Galaxy, or will they make it like an iPad mini size that just folds in half? That's gonna be interesting. But
Definitely.
yeah, I think that's everything we had for today's episode. Travis, is there anything you would like to share with our audience, or any questions you have for us before we wrap up?
Not too much, just that I appreciate you guys bringing me on. What are you guys excited for this year from Apple?
Ooh, that is an amazing question.
Ooh.
For myself, I mean, we could probably like scrap the VR AR headset because that's probably not going to happen this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most is probably like either the new iPad Pros or seeing what Apple's going to be doing with the new Apple Silicon Macs, like with the Mac Pro, if that'll ever happen, or the iMac Pro, and see like the power of those chips. I think I'm really excited to see how like the design of the new iMac Pro is going to be and things like that. Seeing the performance as well. I think that would probably be number one for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it's going to be the iPads. I'm really looking to get one. I've actually said that I really want to get the iPad Mini 6. So I don't know. I think at this point, I'm going to wait until the new ones come out and see, what the specs are, what the price is, and then go from there. But that's definitely something I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
What about you, Travis?
All the M2 stuff. We've been waiting a long time.
That too.
I don't even care what the product is. I just want to see what the strategy is moving forward.
Yeah.
The new MacBook Airs. I want to see all of it. I just want to see it. I don't necessarily want to have it yet, but I do want to see it. I'm very curious because that'll be the thing. That'll be the processor we'll be relying on for the next 3 years or so.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see Apple's next generation of Apple Silicon and how they've improved it from the first generation. And we've already seen like insane power come from the new MacBook Pros and even the M1 just by itself. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do this year, if they're going to make an even more powerful chip for the iMac Pro or the Mac Pro, and also see what they also do with the external displays that they're working on with Apple Silicon. So that's going to be cool. But that I guess wraps up this episode. Thanks again, Travis, for being on here and for sharing your thoughts and stuff. It was really good. Really good to get to know you a little bit more as well. And guys, for those who are listening or watching, if you want to follow Travis, we'll leave some links in the description below. Of course, you probably already follow him or you've already heard of him. He's a really cool YouTube creator, shares some really good insights and thoughts and opinions on different tech. And so yeah, all of his links will be in the description below, as well as ours. You can go subscribe to BenObi Tech or TA Tech or both or all three. And if you have any questions, anybody you would like to see us feature in a future episode, let us know in the comments or tweet at us on Twitter. But that's about it for this episode. Taylor, do you wanna send it off?
Yep. All right, guys. Again, thank you guys all for listening and or watching, and we'll see you guys next week.